What's going on, guys? So I want to talk about this Unreal Engine 4 patch. I'm going to do a separate video on just how I feel about the actual engine and how the game is performing for me and others. But the main thing I want to talk about is the huge mistake with NCSoft on their part of releasing this patch. So if you're not familiar with this patch, they actually released 3 different game modes: easy, normal, and hard, where before we only had 2 game modes. Now these 3 game modes have been over in Korea for a long time, so a lot of people assumed over time we would eventually get all 3. And now that we have them, we've seen NCSoft really make grave mistakes with how they've implemented it into the game. The one thing you'll notice is stuff like these dungeons like Sandstorm Temple. I'm showing a great example right here. This is the mini boss for Sandstorm Temple. He has over 2 billion health. This was a dungeon I could run solo by myself, barely paying attention. It was a really quick, easy dungeon to knock out and get your daily challenge completed. Another great thing is they would have stuff like Mushin's Tower, where you would complete the floors that are like super easy to do for anyone with story gear. You could complete it and it'd be an easy way to knock out the daily challenge. You'll see on these lists here, they basically knocked out and removed all these daily quests that made it so easy to complete the daily challenge. They added stuff like the brand new dungeon, which you need a ton of AP to do. They added 2 quests of that into the daily challenge. House of Idols, another really hard dungeon to do. Sandstorm Temple, now that it got buffed, is actually pretty difficult to do. All these dungeons they added just made it much harder to actually complete the daily challenge. This is the exact thing you do not want to do when you're introducing a patch that's going to bring back a lot of returning players. And Sandstorm Temple is not the only dungeon. All these dungeons that you used to run before this Unreal Engine 4 patch, which were pretty simple and easy to do with a party, without even having to be geared. I remember running these dungeons all the time. You just get a group in F8, you wouldn't care how geared people are, you just run it and do it. It's like very simple. Now you actually have to check and see how geared people are, because Brute Chamber is actually difficult again now because they increased the HP values and made the bosses actually hit harder. It's really a shame how they implemented this patch. So basically, to sum it up, NCSoft just made it more difficult to do the daily challenge by removing stuff like Mushin's Tower and buffing these dungeons that were really easy before the patch for no reason. These are supposed to be easy mode dungeons, and the mini boss has 2 billion HP. How is that an easy dungeon? That doesn't even make sense in any world. This is literally the one patch where you want the game to be welcoming for new and returning players. Think about it. You have a bunch of people coming back to the game who haven't played in years, who have outdated gear. They're all wanting to do the Call to Arms event to get geared up, but in order to get the Call to Arms gear, you have to run these dungeons and content. But they buffed and made them more difficult, so now you need way better gear. It just doesn't make sense at all. Like, do these people not play their game? That's the only thing I could think of. Or else, either they don't play the game, or they just completely want to self-sabotage the game, because this is like the worst move you could do. I don't know, man. It's just very frustrating to like see something really exciting like Unreal Engine 4, and then they just completely just do something stupid with these dungeons. Like, no one wanted these dungeons buffed. No one wanted you to change the daily challenge. It's fine how it was. I could literally do all 7 of the daily challenge within less than like 30-40 minutes. Now I have problems even completing 3 within like 30 minutes. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous how they changed this. And imagine you're a returning player trying to gear it with the Call to Arms event, and you can't even run these dungeons because you have garbage story gear. Like, it's just really frustrating to see how they did this. These are changes that no one asked for, no one wanted, and yet they just implement them for no reason. The only saving grace is on the forums. People were complaining about it because they're like, what the heck is going on with these dungeons? It's way more difficult than before, and players are trying to run it, and it's very difficult. What's going on? Well, community manager basically said, first, I want to thank you all for sharing your feedback and experience on this. We will be further reducing the boss health and AP to the dungeons for all 3 difficulties. The changes will go in next Wednesday during the maintenance. So there is some hope they are changing this. The problem is, I don't know how much. I don't know if there's going to be a little bit less. Like, is the mini boss going to have 1 billion HP instead of 2 billion? Like, ooh, big deal. Or are they actually going to make it easy mode? Because I don't even care about them changing the difficulty for hard mode. Hard mode should be hard. If you want to run on hard mode with your whaled out gear, go ahead. But easy mode should be easy. You should allow new players and returning players to jump into the game and be able to easily run this content. Of course, they should get less rewards, but let them complete the daily quest and get their Call to Arms gear. This is not a complicated concept. It's just ridiculous that we're gonna have to wait till Wednesday to get this fixed, and it might not even fix everything completely when we literally could have had no issues. Just don't change any of the dungeons or modes and we would have been completely fine with this patch. It's really depressing to see this. And really, they need to extend the Call to Arms event, because players have had a week of suffering through this, and they're going to be losing out on the event. Like, it's just crazy how this is going on. And a lot of people are saying thank you now, but I'm just not really impressed. I'm just really upset that honestly they did this in the first place. Like, I'm glad they're changing stuff and they're listening to feedback, but no one gave feedback on them to change the dungeons. No one wanted them to change this, and they implemented a stupid system, and they're kind of ruining this patch, in my opinion. So it's really frustrating to see. I think you guys could tell on my face in the video. I'm just really fed up with their BS. I just can't believe they did this. I don't know, guys. That's really the video. I just wanted to share this. They're gonna make some changes, so I guess there's hope. But it's just like, why does this happen like every single time? Like, this is the most important patch we've ever had in Blatant Soul, and you butchered the dungeons. You made it so difficult to do stuff. It's like people can't even run stuff on their old characters anymore because they're spending so much time trying to complete the stupid daily challenge now, when it used to take 20 to 30 minutes. It's just really ridiculous what they did. That's just really the video. Maybe I'll calm down and be less mad, but I'm really upset with the NC West, NC Soft team. You guys dropped the ball with this patch. Really ridiculous, but yeah, we'll get some changes. We'll see. I'll make an update video on Wednesday if they're any better. But wow, like, this is really sad to see.